Right, so we've done the draw now, and we've drawn peg 38 in extension, so I'll just show you where we are. So this is where we are. It's like quite wide here, it's probably like 17 metres across, but got a bit of room to the left here. There's 2 empty pegs that way, and then obviously that bottom end there is free as well, but then that way it's every other peg. So I'm thinking I want to have a go on Caster's shallow, because I just spoke to Pazza and he said that Caster's really good in this lake, so I might just fish Caster's long, about 11-13 metres, something like that. I'm going to chuck maggots on a top kit, and then I'm going to fish just in this edge down here, is like tins sort of thing. I'm going to fish like micro expanders to start with, because I spoke to Pazza, so he's given me some good information, because he think he was third in the match yesterday down the bottom end of the extension. And then just kind of a nice match and just try and get some bites. Thing is about practicing, I just feel like for me it's not about finding what the best method is, just catching some fish and putting some fish and getting confidence, because you could end up on a worse area or a better area, but as long as you've caught some fish, just get confident in catching them. So there's like one thing I'm looking for here, like a few bubbles and a few signs of fish topping, so don't want to get caught out of fishing too negative too early. So I feel like starting in the edge on micro expander, just getting a quick little start, and then gonna loose feed some casters, obviously settle some overshotted rigs, some normal rigs, and see how we get on that way. So I'm going to get settled now, and then we'll get back just before the start, and I can run you through where I've set up. But that's the main approach, try and do well. Nice to get on Richie's memorial match, because he was a great bloke. So I think there's 80 or 90 people here, over 5 or 6 lakes, or 5 lakes, something like that. But it's not about trying to win today, it's about obviously trying to make the most of getting some bites, get set up, get ready, and see how we get on. So enough waffling, I need to get some kit set up, and we'll see how we get on. We're about a minute or so before the start. So what I've set up is what I said. I've set up a short kit and a number 3, a short 3, so dead close to my nets. It's like 4 foot there. I've set up to my left edge, which is about just over 2 foot, I think. Oh no, just under 3 foot, sorry, which is a little bit deep, but it's one of them things, you can't get any more shallower water, so it might be ideal. I might get a few more fish coming in. And then I've not bothered with the cross, because I just feel like I want to try and see if I can catch shallow and on the bottom with casters, see what that sort of day. If it was the Masters tomorrow, I'd set everything up, I'd set a cross up, and I'd probably feel like that cross line would be a nice tick over method. But today it's just sort of like work a few things out. I feel like I've got a lot on my bait tray, but I haven't really. I've just got a few different areas where I'm going to fish. So I've got some casters for 30 metres. I've also chopped some worms up. So what I'm going to do at the start is I'm just going to go out, put like a pinch of worms in, and probably like 30 or 40 casters, and just pop them in, just so I can get my range and my catapult ideally. And then I'm going to start in my left edge on micro expander, just a nice simple way, and I'm just going to loose feed that long line and see what happens. I'm not going to feed anything short yet. Now, last time I think I spoke to Jamie when he drew this sort of area. That's the all in. Just going to put 30 or 40 casters in there. A nice blob of worm. And as I say, when I spoke to Jamie last time he was here, he caught a lot of fish. He caught probably like 30 or 40 pounds short, but that was a lot of fish. So just going to go to my mark there, in line with that tree, holding my section. Drop my bait in. And I'm only doing this just so I can get my range from my casters. I'm not guessing. That's a nice little range. Perfect little range, that one. And then I'm just fishing top, short 3, and a number 4 down the edge on my short kit. So just got an F1 pellet, 4x14, nice and positive. Just going to put a few micros in my little small pot. I have got a cut down one in case I need to. I'm just going to start there, just to see if you get some bites. Should catch some relatively quickly. It's normally a quick way of starting this. Normally you get like a quick reaction. Now one thing I've done as well, I've plumbed up where I am now, but I've plumbed up a little bit closer. So it's a tiny bit shallower, a little bit closer. And what that enables me to do, when I feel like I'm going to change it to ground bait at some point, I can literally just come back that little bit closer. Just fish a little bit closer there. That's the ideal thing. The last thing you want to do is, especially like places like this, when you've got deeper edges than you ideally want. It's not too much deeper, if I'm truthfully honest, but if you've got deeper edges than you actually want, then coming a bit close to yourself is an ideal scenario, and especially a place like this where you can catch really, really close. You can catch really quick doing that as well. So it just depends how it's fishing. So this is what the ideal scenario is like today, is just work out best way to try and start. Is it a little bit deeper, or if you've got the shallow water, would it be better fishing in the shallow water? Just about trying to see what's right. Would it be better fishing casters shallow or maggot shallow, or just fishing across and just putting a fish in the net all the time? That's what you sort of like got to think, and you get a better idea once you've fished. So I'm just going to spray some casters out there. See, I'm getting a bit of movement on my float now. So if this keeps happening, I just don't want to feed too much bait. And maybe I could have started a little bit closer, but we'll just see for now. Last thing I want to do is start putting loads and loads of bait there and just makes them harder to try and find my target hook bait. Now what I meant by a cut down pot is I've got a small pot and I've just took the blue off it. So it's just obviously when I put it in, it's obviously a less amount of bait. Just makes them fish a little bit targeted. A bit more of a target hook bait on you, into your rig, but I'm not gonna keep too long. That's why it's important just to have a nice heavy rig, just so you can be nice and efficient with it. It's a bit better. There you go. That's a bit better. Typical F1 fishing that, you do it, refeed again, just make that little trap. Make that little trap, and just them little key decisions are just trying to click them. Just a little expander on the hook. Obviously, like I said, if I do keep getting daft indications and maybe there's not enough fish in my peg, I'm just going to feed that while I'm here. I can just cut my feed down, but that's one thing I will say with F1 fishing is don't be lazy. Just be nice and accurate. Get that bait right over the top of where you're fishing. I'm already thinking if that's probably going to be a little bit too far for fishing with ground bait, especially the fish that I'm sort of fishing for. I'm not fishing for them like massive brown 2-3 pound fish where they're quite sluggish and they come in dead easy. I feel like we're on a peg today where fishing for like fish between like 10 ounce and 1.5 pounds, which is quite fast fishing, loads of bites, dead good. But the last thing you want to do is you want to try and catch as close as you can to yourself. So I'm just keeping an eye on how much I'm feeding compared to what indications I'm getting. That's what I'm thinking at the minute. Obviously, because I haven't been for a while. I haven't done this sort of fishing for a long time. Just about getting in the rhythm, like you've seen before. That little change of just coming back and feeding again. Can be deadly with this sort of fishing. That's why sometimes when you draw like a wide peg like this, fishing right across can be really difficult, because you have to work so hard, because obviously you can't just plonk it in and sit there. Say if you're fishing for big carp and just be dead patient, you have to be really, really busy. That's why I've just gone for like the approach today. I didn't fancy just doing that today. See, I'm thinking now, if I don't get a bite within 40 seconds to a minute, I'm just going to come back and change my pot. few daft indications there, so I'm just going to put my little pot on. Micros. I can always come close to myself if I need to. I'll just put a little bit less bait in. Normally find, like, when obviously you thinned a few fish out, or you just get trying to get them onto your little area. But like I said, I'm already thinking when I go onto like maggots and ground bait, I'm just going to fish a little bit closer. Just because I just want to be nice and quick and efficient. On occasion then. Just like a weird bite sort of thing. Let me bait that one. The reason why I decided to fish where I am as well, it's just a bit nice and clean where I'm fishing. If I went a bit further, I don't feel like I can't get tight to the bank as it is. Just next to these tin sort of things. Last thing I want to do is start coming off and off the bank, especially with like sort of trying to pin fish down in a little tight area. Get loads and loads of fish in your peg, and that's when you foul look at it's decent like that one. Missing bites now. But that was like a perfect sort of scenario, that one. Just like wait 30-40 seconds and a little dink. So I missed him, but maybe that cutting that feed down. This might be a little thing if you come on tomorrow. Just feeding a little bit less, yeah, that's better. Might be foul up that. Don't know what that is. Feeding a little bit less might be. Now, one thing I'm doing this week is I just feel like fishing a bit lighter here at Tunnel. It's sort of like there's a lot of, I'm not going to say smaller fish, there's a lot of bites to be had now. Just feel like fishing 011, 012, 011 power line with an SFL or 012 with an XFS. Just going to help me massively. Just got, obviously don't get me wrong, if you draw mega pegs. It's a little cat, that one. If you draw mega pegs, you probably have to get away with, it's inside the cheek. Draw mega pegs, you might be able to get away with fishing a little bit different, but I just feel like there's loads of bites to be had in this place now. So a few people are fishing shallow already, so just keep an eye on them down there, see what they're up to. The old overshotted rigs come out to play already. We set it up just because I feel like you have to in the match fishing, but I don't know what that was. That was a small fish then. Yeah, this is what ideally you can see both of the bites that come when a bit of fresh bait gone in the peg all the time. Just might need to settle down a little bit. And then the fish might start coming in a little pattern, then you might get a little bit better run, but there's people catching shallow already. Now, one thing I do want to try is a normal rig was miles. On the last day of the Pole Masters last year, and the normal rig was miles better than. That fish just went for the rig then, like a big liner. Normal rig, sorry, was miles better than overshot. How I missed that? See, this is where there might be a little bit of a problem now, because there might be a few fish coming in. I might need to fish it a little bit closer. Just because I feel like Might have started a little bit too far. This is why you come on the day before, just so you can know. Just so you get a feel. If it's a little bit harder, you can go a little bit further. If it's a little bit better, you can come a little bit closer. One thing the beauty about F1 fishing is if you feel like something's different and you need to change it, you just change it and you can get a response really quickly. It's not like carp fishing where you're fishing for a lot bigger fish and a lot less fish. You're fishing for a lot of bows. Just feel like I might have started in the wrong place here. I'm not going to change it just yet. But I just feel like I might have started a bit too far away. Feed them casters. See, they're ripping up the bottom already on them casters. Which is a good thing. Let's get this rig right on top of that bait. Get a nice little trap set. This is why you've got to be so accurate when you're fishing. If I can get that set right on top of my bait. Oh dear, they want a fish to come in and just nail it straight away. The problem when you got a little bit too deep, you can just get this little problem I'm having now where you get a lot of signs and a lot of indications and missed bites, but for the minute I'm just going to try and wade through it, just because I feel like it might be a bit too early for me myself. I know other people fish shallow a bit quicker, but last thing I want to do is just go straight out and nail them straight away. That was a better bite, that was. That was like an ideal scenario. So see, all of a sudden, just keep it all nice and tight. And it's also about, I've had this idea about fishing a little bit light this week, but it might be the wrong thing to do. You might need to fish a little bit heavier. So it's just about playing around, seeing what fish we're gonna try and catch. Ooh. It's a bit better one. See, these are like the upper end of what I feel like we're going to catch. In the side of the mouth, that one again. But yeah, I'll try and catch one more for you. That's a nice little start we're having. I just feel like slowly we're getting to grips with it, but we're learning a few things, which is always the most important thing about today. Obviously it'd be nice to win the match, but I'd rather do it tomorrow and the day after and the day after, so keep it all nice and tight. Keep everything straight, drop them in. It's free fish now, that's the sign as well. So I might literally just need to come a little bit close to myself, so definitely when I feed that ground bait, I'm going to feed it on this like second little gap here, just because I feel like that's really important, just to get a little bit closer. It just slows the amount of fish down coming in my peg. I feel that's going to be key today. Obviously, like I said, they're quite erratic fish we're fishing for. They're not going to be slow plodders where you can go a little bit further. They're going to be quite fast, erratic, and we're going to be in and out quite a lot. I don't know what they are. Indications all the time. It says to me as well, every time we've caught one, apart from that last fish, them first two were quite quick. It says to me, obviously, because of the depth, the fish are going to stay in your peg a little bit. If it was shallower, they'd creep up to it, but with that depth, they can just stay there and linger around, and that's why you can get false indications and signs and bites quite quickly when you put your rig in. So that's why it's important to have a heavy rig, 4x14, get everything down. Last thing you want is to feed your bait and then you're waiting for your rig to catch up. So I'll try and get you another one and then we'll come back mid-match or something. But yeah, say it's a nice day. It's not, hopefully it doesn't rain. Just have a nice little start here. Obviously I feel like it's probably a little bit slower than what you'd ideally want it. You just want to drop in and catch a few fish, but I feel like I said, I keep mentioning, today's all about learning. I'm not scared to try stuff. This is why you make an interesting live match, because obviously you want to do well and you're going to catch a few fish. That's moving me rig around, that one. I'm going to catch a few fish, but for me it's all about just, that's a nice little dink that was. It's all about putting a few fish in the net. And there'll be certain ways to catch them and make your life a lot easier. So, a couple of fish for camera, a few things learned for you, and a bad bit of netting, as everyone says. What's this now? I'll just pull my pulley kit, get a bit of control under him. I feel a bit like I haven't done this for a while, so yeah, top lip. So nice little start, that one. Can't moan. 4 fish. So I'm going to keep plodding on, and we'll come back when, obviously, hopefully won't be in it shallow. Right, we're just coming over, or just coming past an hour and a half in, and I've got 23 fish. Now, one thing that's happened is I caught a couple more on the edge, but people around the lake started to catch shallow quite quickly, so what I thought is I'll just get out on that shallow line, which where I'm fishing now, like 11 metres, just holding on to my 13 in my section before it, and I had a nice little run. I caught an overshot here, I caught a few on like a long dibber with quite shallow, I caught some like a normal 4B8 rig falling through. I've just chopped and changed, and if I'm truthfully honest, I never could get a run on anything. I'd just have to catch like 1 or 2 fish on a rig, then I'd have to change, and I was just trying things. Trying the overshot quite shallow, they're quite deep. Fishing through the water, trying to catch sort of like through the water, and then all of a sudden this last, like, I want to say like 25 minutes, it's just gone a little bit harder. Now this is where you got to be really on the ball with what I'm fishing. It's what I mean by harder is I just stopped getting bites shallow. It's like I put my normal rig in, which is a normal telltale sign. I like to do little cow telltale sign. I put my normal rig in. I'm not getting many liners and many missed bites, and obviously when I flick my overshotted rig around, I'm not really catching on that, so I get 1 or 2 fish, and I feel like there's not many fish there competing, but the bottom's ripping up. Now, one thing I did do is before that fish I caught then, I caught a big F1, but I foul upped it. So what I did is I went back out with my plummet, just checked it, and they've dug the bottom out. So what I mean by that is they've dug the silt where they've eaten the casters, they've dug the silt a little bit deeper, so the peg has got probably like 2 inch deeper. So I've just re-plumbed up, put a piece of worm on again, and now this is like, if I can just keep ticking over and getting some bites, this is what I'm looking for. And obviously if I do start to get a few signs shallow, I'll be able to see it on my float. I'll be missing a few bites, and I can have a quick go shallow again, see if I can catch anything. So it's a good little way of just keeping an eye on your peg, just dropping on the bottom, ticking over. Now, like I said before, I do feel like it's deceiving, this peg, because yes, you've got a little bit of room, but generally the best area of the lake has been from like 2 to 9, that sort of area. In recent weeks it can obviously change, wind dependent and stuff. The wind blows down here, this will be better, but this is one thing to realise, like next week, or next couple of days, you might be fishing against them one person in your section that way, and instead of trying to beat that one person, maybe just coming second's a good result. So I do think that fishing across would have been a real steadier bet, just because I feel like you get more regular bites, you're not being as positive, you just be ticking over, getting a few fish, and you probably easily get to like, I want to say 60-70 fish with an hour and a half, 2 hours to go, quite easily, just getting a bite of chuck across there. But because this now, you're getting low like lull periods, which you've obviously got to try and fill the gaps, and you're chopping and changing, trying to make something happen, where as that I'd have just been shipping across, getting a bite every single time. But with this now, it's getting quite difficult to try and put some fish in the net. Now what I have done with my left edge is I've just changed it to ground bait. Helps if I get my casters around my float. So I've potted that twice with ground bait. I keep potting that. I can always have a little drop on that and see if I can nick a fish. I've had a little look short on a top, getting a short free, but nothing, just a couple of fresh air bites, nothing to write home about. But I do feel like that line could come really good later on. Then fish come there, it can be really quick and really effective. But there's obviously a few fish out there because they're grubbing round and we're catching. So they're grubbing round and we're getting the odd sign indication there. Just check the rig. That's the telltale sign as well, just sitting a little, the float was just sitting a little bit deeper, just a worm. Wrap round on the way in. But yeah, I do feel like if I drew here tomorrow, if I didn't draw like to my right, I got a lot more cover there. Like where I'm fishing now is quite bare bank. I'm just going to put 2 maggots on. So I just feel like that would make more sense to fish casters shallow across, but where you're fishing here, they're like a bit like no man's land. So the best way of trying to do your best is just literally ship across and hope you get a nice little run short late or something. But like I say, it's all about learning today. We'll try and eke a few out on this caster line, because obviously this could come good, the fish could turn up, you just get one a chuck later on in the day. Like I say, it's going bright now, so this is like a scenario where when it does this with sort of F1 fishing, cover becomes really important. So what I mean by that is like reeds in the water, obviously bits where the fish can go and hide, get out the sun. But say if it gets really windy and overcasty, then open water can be a lot better than reeds. It just depends what the conditions are doing to where you need to fish. Like I say, the fish might just drift across into that shallow water now, across to that far bank, linger around that little bit of shade and cover across there. And that's why, like, obviously it's the hottest point of the day now. It was getting that way, just past, coming up to 1 o'clock, so this might be the wrong place to fish in the middle. That's where you might have to look down the edge and stuff, but like I said before, it's all about learning. There's a few fish there at the bottom again, and a lot of bubbles and a lot of signs, which is a good thing, because if a lot more fish come in the peg and they start feeding really aggressively late on, you could have a mega run shallow. But one thing I've noticed as well, the lads that are catching to my right shallow are having to go closer and closer to the cover now. As where when they started, they're probably fishing the same as me. But as the match is going on, they're getting closer and closer to that cover, so yeah, that's a bite. Didn't need a float, that one. So that's one thing that, like, I'm sort of like, yeah, I'm trying to catch what I can today, but I'm also looking around, just seeing what sort of other people are doing, where they're catching, what they're up to. It's just really important just to ticking along and catching. And I'll try and set myself a little target of trying to get to, like, say, maybe like, I want to say between 70 and 90 fish. That'll probably be like 100, 120 pounds. That's what I sort of want to get my target. But obviously I've got 25 now, an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half in, say, so I could quite easily get to that if I start catching really well. But I think now this is getting to the point where rotating it is going to have to be really important. But it's obviously I need another line to start to come good before I can focus on rotating it with this line. Obviously nicking an odd fish shallow, nicking an odd fish on the bottom, and obviously I need like a ground bait line in the edge, or some fish on the casters at the minute, or on the top getting maggots, sorry. what you might do as well, when you fish on the bottom you don't feed as regular, so you're just creating a little bit more competition with less food, which is ideal, as where when you're catching shallow you tend to feed a little bit more often, because obviously you're trying to keep the fish competing. It's proper ripped up the bottom there, hammer float, that's a bite. Yeah, the lads that are catching just having to go a little bit closer to the cover, which is interesting. Might be the case of if you draw near there you can get away with fishing off the cover, and then obviously as soon as it goes a little bit harder you can just go straight across to where them fish are hiding. That's why I always think it plays, if you've got a big festival or a match coming up, that's a bite coming up, and the best thing to do is just come down and have a little look. But yeah, we're getting a little run on the bottom now. This is what I mean, we're learning about how to catch them on the bottom now. Obviously the bite's really finicky, which obviously bows to what I thought with fishing quite light. Like I've got 16 SFL on with 011, just a pre-tied 6-inch. Obviously I keep feeding that maggot line short. Obviously the thing is as well, I think this is a carp. Is this a carp? I've had a couple of like weird fish when I've fished in different areas, so I've caught a couple of carp deeper shallow, and then I've caught a couple of carp on the bottom. Yeah, that's another one. It just shows these have stopped. Obviously they spawn now, and they have that little period where they don't go a bit weird, they don't feed, but now it seems they're on the munch, which is good. Nice little carp then. Yeah, we can just try and tick over. Probably want to try and get to the halfway stage and probably have like, let's say, between 35 and 40 fish, which is another like 10 to 14 in the next hour, which is a big ask because I feel like you need to get nice little runs. But if we're catching on this now, you can easily catch 7 or 8 fish quite easily on this. Obviously I know I need 10, but it's the case, if you just get a little run shallow you can easily put 5 or 6 fish in the net in minutes. I feel like I put that fish in the wrong net now. So all the bites we're getting now are dead shy. That's a little sign then. Yeah, there's no. We're catching next to the cover to my right, which is expected. I'm not too worried about that. The thing is, with festivals and matches like this, sometimes you've got to be best of the rest. And that can often get you in the frame, and if you don't draw where you think you're going to win the section, or you don't draw a peg capable of winning the section, just about trying to get the most out of your fishing. Last thing you want to do is blow your peg up trying to catch fish that are not there. Trying to, like, I could imagine now if I was just sitting there shallow, I'd be getting a very odd bite, not putting anything in the net. But for me, I just feel like there's that many mouths in this place now, and there always has been, to be honest. It's just about just moving lines and keeping feeding that net, because in the end result you'll be very surprised what you can have at the end. See, I'm not getting loads of signs when I'm feeding my casters over the top, which says to me there's not loads and loads of fish shallow. It just helps you make that decision that you're not just going to go in now. I was not going to pick my rig up and get a bite at every single chuck at like 16-inch, say. I'm not really getting any signs. If I start to get loads of liners and just missing an odd bite on this now, every time, say when I fed my bait, if I fed my bait and then I got a sign or indication, and I know, then I know I can literally might be able to get away with having a little go shallow. But one thing I've noticed as well, I need to obviously it'll come with fishing a little bit longer. See, that was a little indication shallow. It'll come with obviously fishing this next few hours and stuff, but with my catty just being really, really accurate. When I was using an overshotted rig, it was so important to keep that crashing in, nice tight area. Once them fish got into that nice tight area, you got a lot quicker response off him. That's where when your casters went a bit everywhere, it obviously took a longer to get a bite and you didn't get it as quick. So that might be one thing, trying to not fish too far. See, I'm getting a few signs there again now. So I could always pick up my shallow rig, might do in a minute. It's just really important when you feed, just to imagine your bait falling through the water and where the fish sort of intercept it and the indications and bites or signs you get on your float. See, I feel like now I could have a little go shallow now because I've given it a little rest. I might have built a few fish back up. Probably had a little spell there of 5 minutes where I've had a few signs which I'd not really had. So what I might do is just pick my dibber up for a little shallow bit, see if I get a bite on that. One thing I don't like doing is just going straight in an overshotted rig because I don't feel like I know where the fish are. I'll let a quick go here. Yeah, that's what we're doing on that. Probably gonna go a little go on that rig. Got a little dibber. See if we get a sign or a bite on that one. I'm going to work it quite a lot because I feel that's really important. A little flick forward. Catch one. See, but it's really, really flat in front of me. Blondie there. There you go, hey, mug one. So yeah, we'll call it a day at that. Smug's a little blondie then. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's quite hard fishing, and I feel like I'm going to have to nip and tuck now and keep my lines fed. If I can try and make it work to the end, but I feel like that's what we're going to try and get to, 70 to 90 fish, 90 at the best. I feel like 70 fish today would be a real good day, but we've got 27 now. Obviously, got half an hour before that halfway point, so not the ideal scenario. So actually left one. Not an ideal scenario because I don't feel like I'm going to catch 8 fish in the next half an hour, but I might just literally come back now. I'm gonna feed me edge. I'm gonna feed me edge, feed that maggot line and just drop a little drop on the bottom. See what we can catch, because I feel like the minute I'll just show you what we're feeding in the edge. We're not doing the best. And we're losing our way a little bit, so just a few maggots. Cap it off with ground bait. Lean forward, that's where we're fishing. There we go. Right, so I'm going to plod on now, and we'll come back and hopefully things have improved a little bit. Right, so we're just coming up to an hour and 20 left now, and the fishing's been a little bit better. Still feeding all on the other lines, but catching a few fish in this ground bait now in the edge. But also we've had a nice little run on our casters, which will be on the bottom and shallow. So we've got to, at the minute I've got 52 fish, which is ideal. I want to ideally try and get to 75 to 80 fish if I can. But at the minute, just fishing down this little left edge, just feeding a bit of ground bait. If I can either double maggot or double maggot or 3 maggots on the hook. Now obviously it's a little bit too deep really for ground bait, and I'm struggling to try and pinpoint them, so I'm having to feed a little bit off the bank, try and catch them. But it's just been a bit of a line where you can just drop it and get 2 or 3 fish quite quickly, and then you can go somewhere else and back out on that long line. That's a bite there. Thought I hit my camera there. So yeah, this is what's going on at the minute. It's sort of like, that was what I was talking about before. Just need a couple of lines to rotate with. Now, one thing I did notice is, you'll notice that I'm just trying to keep my lines fed. Nice fish. One thing you did notice is when I'm playing a fish, I'm still like throwing a few maggots short, even though 52, 53. Still not really dropped on it and not really had a good run that, but I'm still feeding them short because I feel like I could easily just get a real mint run on it, and it could easily catch 10 or 12 fish on that. But the caster line has been the line where it's been all been happening. Now, after that little lull period I spoke to you, I dropped on the bottom, and for some banana reason we just literally out the blue just started to catch on the bottom nice and clean, catching some like stocky fish, some stocky F1s, some bigger F1s, some littler carp, like 2 or 3 or 1 to 2 pound carp. And then obviously as I've fed more, and obviously as talked about before, is as I've put less bait in, there's obviously a few fish come shallow again. Now one thing that's really interesting is the best rig that I've caught on is like a 4B8, just strung out and just keep flicking it past my feed all the time. And I've just caught some real big fish on that. As where when I went on the overshotted rig, set at the same depth, caught 2 fish real quick. But then once I started flicking the water and stuff, it just felt like it just scared all the fish out my peg. So like, scared all the fish out my peg, and I just stopped catching on it then, and I couldn't really catch properly. So I've had to like leave that alone, drop somewhere else. So that's when I've had to come in the edge. But that's one thing I want to, if you've not got loads of wind or cover, I don't think that overshotted rig is the one. I feel like these nice light rigs, yes, you would miss a few bites, but it's perceived like if you miss bites shallow fishing, you're doing something wrong. I personally like them because I feel like you've got a lot to work with. So this is the beauty of it. We've got a bit of ground bait fishing now. Scrapper, bit of ground bait fishing. And one thing I will do tomorrow, I think, if I'm going to fish like this in the edge, I'm going to put like a 13-inch Jawa slip on just to be a little bit quicker. Obviously, any of my bottom fishing with like maggots and stuff, I can use this 11, but anything in the edge, I'm going to be a bit more firmer, the fish a bit more heavier. But all I'm doing is just literally kindling, cut down large, And I'm just literally, every time I come in, just feeding 10 or 15 casters twice. And then going to my mark and fishing. Now the best way I've found to catch him down this edge is just feed like probably 4 or 5 inch off the bank. Try and get my bait out. 4 or 5 inch off the bank, and then literally just drag my rig over the top and hold it as close as I can to the tins or whatever they call them, stanchion things. Now this just feel like just eliminates any silly bites I'm going to get, because obviously it's a little bit deeper than what I want it to be. So I'm just trying to get the fish there with a ground bait. I'm not feeding any maggots, I've just got 2 maggots on the hook. Got a few micros in my ground bait, but nothing really, so just imagine that cloud, the fish coming in. And just attacking it and getting some quick bites on it. And what I might do is I might just literally try and catch one more here. And I might just go shallow just to show you what I mean by that light rig, because it's been so deadly. Almost like detrimental to like trying to catch shallow, and it just made me think that maybe set a couple of rigs up, just because them bigger fish aren't coming to that noise or that sound, especially if it being flat today. Don't get me wrong, if it was overcast and windy, I feel like I could have a real good run on it, but every day is different. So 55 now with this one, hopefully. There we go, 55 fish. I feel like I could catch 20 in an hour and 15 minutes the way it's going. Probably catch another 4 in 15 minutes, and then 15 or so last hour. I'll just put 3 maggots on, see if that makes a difference. But so it's about repetitive, getting in that rhythm. Just feed that short line. You don't know when I'm going to need it, and like I said, I could easily catch 15 in an hour on that if it goes. I've had 2 or 3 on it, but nothing spectacular. But obviously I've been feeding that shallow line, so it's only a matter of time before I can drop back on that, and hopefully I can get like a run of 5 or 6 fish, and that'll give me real good stead. Don't get me wrong, I don't feel like I'm going to win the match or anything, but I feel like I've learnt a lot today about what rigs to pick up, how to feed my bait, just getting in tune with like F1 fishing sort of thing. I always think of F1 fishing, sometimes you try and be too perfect, and oh, I need to stop getting lines, I need to stop doing this, I need to stop doing that. That's where that took the blooming pole off the rest, that one. As where with this you get a little method now. Ooh. You can just you can catch real quick. So we're catching in the edge. That was on a 3 maggots, so a little bit more target hook bait. Could always put a worm on, that's the beauty of it, of not feeding much particles of anything. You can just swap and change your hook bait, and if I feel like a visual hook bait's the one, then I won't be scared to put a worm on at all. But still fizzing up the bottom out there, which is good. Now I'm looking for signs when I do this now, so I'm crash some baiting, looking for any boils or swirls or signs of fish, or even at the back, that's what I'm looking for. So probably try and catch one more. Feed the bait properly. Try and catch one more, and then I literally might have a little go shallow. That was a quick bite there. An odd sign of fish down here as well, so I feel like I could have easily just fished this a little bit closer as well. Just because of the depth sort of thing. I find it ever so strange that like the fish will come in the edge there, but my maggot line's not been great short, even though I've been priming it all day. And I thought that'd be a little killer line just to drop on and catch a few fish, but like I said, it's still that last hour, 40 minutes, I could easily drop on that, and then fish rock up short. You could easily catch a big weight, well, a big run of fish. That's what we're looking for late on. That's the beauty of F1 fishing, you're always trying to push your peg to the max. I'm trying to where you're going to get your best run, because obviously I could probably catch 10 fish in the last hour down here with ease, but I could probably catch 10 real quick shallow if I do get them bites. Obviously I've primed it up now, so I've like sort of set my match up. Yeah, set my match up a little bit better with that bigger upbait as well, which is worth knowing. So it's like you're coming along with me on this match and we're learning things on the job. Sometimes you often say, how do you think of that? How do you think of that? And obviously I'm still looking around the lake and I can see Callum Dix is on peg 5, he's caught overshotting. So I sort of like know how people fish, so don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be stubborn and not do it, but I just feel like if I was near some cover I would have done it and it would have been a pretty simple match really. But feed that up. But I'm just going to have a little look on that real light rig. Got 9's hollow, so nice and light. One thing I do is just before I go out is chuck some bait in short, so I might need to drop on that. Fire some casters in. Now what I mean by flicking it past, I'm just flicking my rig back out, back of my feed, and letting it come round so everything's quite tight, so like that. Tell you what, I couldn't explain that any better. That's how we've been catching the odd one, it's just literally, when you get it right, quite hard to bank here, so I have to be careful. That's why I've gone for a light elastic. It's like when you get that rig right and it's all tight, that's how quick and efficient it can be. So I could easily catch 10 or 15 on this now, which caught me in the gooners, that one. I heard that did. Well, this is mint fishing, and like can't wait to have like a few days of this here at Tunnel, just because it's such good fishing. Like every day it'll be a little bit different, there'll be little quirky things you can do. Obviously, like if you spoke to like 3 people on this bank, everyone's going to say something different. Callum's going to say overshotting was better, I'm going to say this rig was better, someone will say worms is better, someone will say meat's better. It's just a mad little place and it's just fish to your strengths. But I'm a big believer in, like, obviously I feel like I can do overshotting fishing, I've done it a lot before, but there'll be little things you'll learn on the job with that sort of fishing. Yeah, that's the bites you're talking about. You miss a few bites, you just got to, that's a pluck as well. So you just got to keep really busy and just take them missed bites on the chin. Obviously, don't get me wrong, if you sit there and you're missing loads and loads of bites, then it might be better just shallowing up or so. Because it's a nice little 4x8 rig, just strung out shot, I just feel like every bite I get on it is just going to be a nice little pull under, or like a pull away, with the fish just grabbing it. There's a carp there, try and mug him. Can't really see my float. Yeah, that's something. That's it right at the back of my feed, that. Which is something I don't normally do, to be honest. Is fish, I normally fish like in the middle of my feed quite aggressively, but today I've just been like bobbing around my feed. And it's just made ever such of a difference. Don't know what this is. Hopefully this is another big F1. Might be fouled though, but it feels decent. That's what I mean, when you're playing a fish, just keep that maggot short. Don't mind chucking a few mags down there as well. Don't want to pull this too hard and pull it off like that. That didn't feel right, to be fair. I think that was foul looked. Did feel a bit weird. Just take a little bit of depth off. Keep that back shot nice and close. Obviously, when I'm fishing it now, I'm not trying to lash loads of bait in. Just trying to keep the rig at the back of my feed and trick them bigger fish. Obviously, I feel like these are the ones you're tricking on this rig. If there's a lot of smaller fish there, I feel like the overshotting one would be a lot better, but there you go, that's what I mean. Come on. Not going well, this. 7-2 I've lost there. Might be the case where I need to just go on my little dibber, same sort of principle. That would definitely foul up the first one. I might have just pulled out of that second one. It's been ever so strange though, on this sort of like bit deeper depth. I've caught an odd carp on it and stuff. Just made me think if I draw this area tomorrow, that was a lovely bite. Just made me think if I draw this area tomorrow, maybe fishing pellets across might be better because there is an odd carp around and stuff. There's obviously one there now, which obviously they are big weight builders. Some might be there. Ooh, pull that off. Got the mare with all this. I'm trying to think what net. Trying to net that's going now. Oh. Let's pull that rig off. Just try that over one. A little bit shallower. Go a little bit shallower than that. About 14 inch or so. Yeah, but I'll try and catch one more for you now, just see if this fish a little bit shallower is any better. Same sort of principle. Be ever surprised how many fish sit off the back of your feed quite high. Don't make too much noise with it. So that's the thing, they're still ripping up the bottom, which is a good sign because obviously there's still a few fish feeding. But try and catch one more for you. Try my best. So I mean, if you're getting a few bites and indications, I'm not too worried about that. But imagine the fish just milling around. So it might take a few fish to come through. A boil there at the back. Just only takes a couple of fish to come through and then obviously compete and then you get like a nice little run of them. The last thing I want to do is just try and upset them. Now, I could always just shoot back and put like a 16-inch overshotted on just to see if that makes a little bit of a difference, but the last thing I want to do is try and make a bit of noise there, but obviously I'm not getting many signs now. I'm just getting a lot more indications and bites before. There you go, that's one. So that's one thing I've got to think about now, but what we'll keep doing, keep plodding on with this. Probably come back to like last 10 minutes or so. But yeah, it's going on it right. We've got not 60 fish because it's come off. What a clown. So we have a bit of a nightmare on that clip, losing a few fish, but I'll just try this other rig and then we'll come back and hopefully we're catching a few more. Right, we're coming up to the last 7-8 minutes now and we've got 76 fish. So a little bit short of the 80 target at the minute, but hopefully we can have a nice little run this edge. But I feel like I'm missing a few bites now and it's not. Maybe dropped on it a bit too late, so I might just have to go back shallow. Just this last 7 or 8 minutes. I had a real steady run shallow, just flicking a rig past. Like a nice 4B8. But I've only caught one in this edge, it's been quite hard to catch him. Don't know why, maybe because of the time of day, the more fish are coming to the bank now. And just as where before, it's probably a little bit more settled, but if there's more fish feeding, it makes them a little bit harder to catch. I've just tried to persevere with like probably the last 7-8 minutes, but I dropped down here with 15 minutes to go and it's not really materialised into any fish. Maggot short was a complete waste of time. I tried changing it to casters. It's not made any difference. I've not caught any fish in that deep water really. Have one little go. One more go and I'll pick up my shallow rig if I don't catch one now. I feel like I've ended the match a bit scatty to be honest, because I was getting an odd bite shallow and then it just sort of like died on me. So I felt like I'd be able to drop on the edge, but I caught a little run and then I was trying to catch one more and I probably spent a little bit too long where I should have just settled in the edge. Maybe worked out where to catch him. Yeah, that's fine. I might just stay there actually. Should have just worked out where to catch him and what the best hook bait was for that later on in the match, or that last little bit. Probably going to stay there now because I'll throw some casters out there just in case I need to go out there in case my rig breaks or something, but hopefully it doesn't. Feels a bit better F1. It's a little carp actually. It might just get a little run now, just sort of like, might take like 10 or 12 minutes to settle down. A few fish coming in and all of a sudden you're getting a little pattern and routine. Little carp, that one. Little pattern and routine, you can get hooks come out of the net. And get a few fish on it. So I've just been putting 3 maggots on, nice visual hook bait. I did put a worm on, but it never really seemed any better. So I've just gone back to 3 maggots. Kindering, cut down large. Just gonna, same again, place my bait where I need to. Say if they just start chilling out now, and obviously once you start catching a few fish they get a little bit wary. Sometimes you need to catch a couple to settle them down, and then all of a sudden they start doing like patterns and laps, and then you can sometimes, that's when you get your little runs. You're not just going to drop in and feed straight away unless they're feeding really aggressive or you've got the right depth. Obviously we haven't got the right depth there, but when we last come on this line, it was obviously, oh, that was a bite there. It was obviously really noticeable that like we were on the right thing, because obviously we were just sitting there, got one. There was no drama. That's one thing. And like now, yeah, I know I missed that indication then, but before when I was feeding it was all over the place, and just feel like now because we've hooked that fish, just sort of might have settled them down a little bit. So that was a bite. They're positive bites then. I might just settle them fish down. This might get a little quick run now. But we've got 77 fish. Got 3 minutes left, so I'll try and catch one more. It's pointless really going out shallow now. Say we're not gonna hook any 10-15 pounders down the edge, but see that there now, that's like a perfect scenario. It would have been if that went under and it wasn't connected with it. But yeah, hopefully we can end on a fish. See what I mean? It's a bit scatty still. Just feel like if I could have hooked 2 or 3 of these, yeah, they just calmed everything down and it would have made me ending a little bit better. So maybe like I need to weigh up what's more important, whether shallow fishing is more important later on in the match tomorrow, or kind of have a nice little run on the edge but give myself enough time to catch him properly, instead of just trying to hedge my bets and drop in and hope it's the same as it was before, because obviously it wasn't, and I've obviously needed a little bit longer. I feel like 10 or 15 minutes. If I dropped on it 10 minutes earlier, I feel like I'd be getting a nice little run now, just because the bait gets cleared out, there's not as much bait there, there's a little target area, the fish sort of know where to look. See, as well now it's just a bit all over the place. You have to go through the motions of this before you actually start cooking them, so it's a good little thing to show. It just shows sometimes it's not always bang on and get it right. It's an indication then as a fed. Just got to be really patient, because obviously it's a little bit too deep ideally, but maybe I should have just thrown some maggots there and potted some ground bait when I wasn't on it to draw a few fish in. That might have been a little bit better, but that's a bite. Trying to get under my platform, that one. But that's what I mean, that there may be one to think about me ending. I don't feel like it's in the mouth. Fish on. That rig's done me. That's the end of the match. That snapped me on the pallet. So it's one of them things that. So we lost that one at the end then. Oop. Yeah, we're all out. Everyone's finished. So we've lost that one at the end, which is a bit annoying because I feel like that was in the mouth, but it just took me around there. It's probably another carp, but looking back, I got that little bit of ending wrong. Should have done a little bit better, to be honest. Should have caught, probably. Should have either persevered shallow and I probably would have got to 80 odd fish, or should have dropped in the edge a little bit earlier, depending on where I should have fished. So that last hour should have maybe managed my timings a little bit better, but it's one of them. It's all about learning today. It's been actually a good learning day. That light rig's been so important. I have to get that onto myself for now. But hopefully, if it's flat, calm and still tomorrow, that light rig will be really important. And we've got, hopefully, in that army, we've caught a few fish as well. So we've ended up with 78 we've ended up with. So not too bad. I said between 70 and 90 fish. So we're nearly halfway there. So yeah, brilliant day's fishing. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll get weighed in, do a little conclusion. And hopefully we sneaked a section or something, because I feel like Callum's caught really well shallow up there, so we'll see how we've got on, and then it's a bit easier to talk about what we've done. But I'm not too bothered about my match sort of thing. I probably made a few mistakes of being critical later on, but it's one of them things. We'll get weighed in and see how we got. Right, so we've all weighed in now. We weighed 98 pounds, so a little bit smaller than what I thought they were going to go. I thought they were going to go like 110, but I feel like I've learned a lot today. That long line, keeping the feed tight, working the rigs, in and out feeding, so it's put us in good stead for tomorrow's Pole Masters, which is the main thing. And hopefully you've learned a few things on this video. It's fished really well. I'm not sure what's won, because they have loads of people weighing in, but Jimmy Brooks has had nearly 200 pounds on the canal. Callum down there had 130, so a little bit of cover makes a little bit of a difference. I think there's a couple of weights on the other side as well, so obviously I'll post the results, see how we got on. But had a nice day. I'm not sure if we got the section, not really sure, but I do feel like we could have had 110 to 120 here today if we just fished a little bit neater match and just learnt a few things. And if we come back tomorrow, I feel like we will catch that. So that's what it's all about, learning, hopefully catch a few more. So gotta go and have a beer now, chill out, and hopefully you're well tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.